Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel, and today Charlie and I are going to be doing more deep dives but into King John characters, and we are going to kick off with King John himself, believe it or not, as he's the first one in the book.
He is the first one. It makes sense to start with King John.
It does, considering the book's called King John.
There are a couple before him, such as Robin Hood and stuff, but we did cover Robin Hood in The Outlaws, which you should have watched by now. If you haven't, go and watch it. And then we've also got the Sheriff of Nottingham, but I'm thinking we'll tag him on.
We'll put him somewhere.
Or somewhere when we decide we're desperate to do. The Sheriff of Nottingham.
The Sheriff of Nottingham. Apologies as well, I've lost my voice through various activities. Shenanigans, LARPing, so just bear with my tinny voice as well. So, King John himself.
So I think it's worth noting on these named characters, you still do get some choice in how you outfit them in terms of their equipment and stuff. So King John has his own stat block.
He does.
It's a mix of regular, irregular, and I think is maybe a couple of things taken from the veteran line.
We'll call it reflective.
Reflective of the man's
of King
character.
John. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So he has a 6-inch move. He has a 5 up on attack, 7 up defense, 4 up on his command, and he has 3 actions. It sounds rather underwhelming until you get into his abilities and stuff, but for the time being, let's just get into his inherent list of inherent abilities. They are chivalry, commander, and then the ones that are specific to him are cruel king, cunning tactician, fear of treachery, and to the king. But we'll look at what they do in a second once we take...
And to what list? Because he can be taken in a Feudal European or a, pronounce it,
Pavan retinue.
French, there we go.
Which is quite interesting, because it does mean, albeit you're taking the same character, as we've been having a little look at it before we jumped on the camera, you have a very different army, don't you, with whether you put him in a Poitevin list or you put him in a Feudal European list.
Depending what you wanted to do, yes. We'll get into that because I'll be here for 10 minutes.
There's some nice crunch in it, which is nice. So he can be equipped, or he must be equipped with either a sword, mace, or falchion, paying the appropriate points. Indeed, he must choose male. He can be armed, or must choose. It's not either or not. It is must choose a medium shield or large shield. May choose a horse or barded horse. So
Excuse me.
Get him mounted. You've got a choice of horse or barded horse.
Excuse me.
And command group options: bannerman, musician, priest. And his command group must be made up of knights or mounted knights. So no options for sergeants or anything like that. Despite
and if you hear any banging, by the way, it's the workmen next door. They're just sporadically doing it.
Definitely not Andy under the table.
No, he's gone.
Be quiet, Andy.
Yeah, he's gone. Which makes sense, because he's the king. Now, regardless of anybody's opinion about King John, he's the king. If it said command group may be chosen from outlaws, I'm like, no, that doesn't fit the narrative. Or peasant levy, I'm like, no.
Yes.
That doesn't.
Though I suppose at times he was like an outlaw king. He was...
maybe
depending on whose opinion you kind of look at and stuff.
Yeah, true.
No, I think those make sense. And it's... I think it's telling of a lot of the other characters we're going to see that a lot of them do fit into multiple lists, factions and stuff as well. Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah, I've seen some 2 outlaw characters I didn't even know existed,
which is really
nice.
cool.
Yeah, I thought it was just Robin Hood.
Exactly, considering we've already looked at Robin Hood and all the other characters, there's even more to
I thought it was just Robin Hood. I thought that was him. He was the only outlaw.
The only outlaw.
How wrong am I?
So let's take a look at the abilities. So we'll ignore chivalry and commander. Commander is that ability to dish out command actions, and chivalry is linked to most of your knights throughout. If you looked at the standard retinues, a lot of the other
mate, it's fine. Honestly, I've forgotten what chivalry's done as well. Absolutely fine. That's why we have this great book.
Yeah, that's also not what we're here to talk about.
Cruel King.
So I like the little flavour. I'm going to do this once and only once, because it'll take I'll add so much time on. But the flavour text will stoop to the lowest depths to achieve their selfish goals. Commander only, may only chosen by the retinue leader. So it's inherent on King John. If a group makes a combat action or reaction thanks to a command action from the cruel king, it gains an attack dice. If it makes a defend action or reaction, it gains a defence dice. Nice.
That's interesting for the reaction as well. That's nice to see the reaction gets the defence dice as well, not just the committed defend action, which is good to see.
If it makes a defend action or reaction... Oh, sorry, I've rereading the same sentence there. However, if a group fails... Fortunately, you were drinking. However, if a group fails a morale check to receive an order from the commander, it takes an immediate casualty.
And I presume that's any order, not just a...
Defend or... so even if it's a move...
Yeah, move or whatever the case may be. Okay, interesting. Brutal. Effective, I'll take it, because I presume that stacks with the commander ability. So, you'd be receiving 2 dice, potentially.
Yes, you do. If you've got, depending on whether you've got, your bannermen, musicians, priests, etc.
That's harsh. In a game where your unit size is typically between 4 and 6, that's, it can be up to 25% of a unit.
You either want to fill your retinue with high morale units so that you know they're going to pass their command checks, or... You want large units so that they can afford to take the casualties.
Question: Would you use King John to order a 4-man unit of mounted knights?
Ooh. Yes.
But if they fail a morale check.
But they're mounted knights. They're veterans. They
can fail the morale check.
And I'm testament to that.
Yeah, we both are.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, 25% of your combat power gone. I'm just saying, it's food for thought.
You'd maybe
That's
choose,
all it is.
But it's that roll of dice. Do I want the extra attack on my mounted knights?
Of course, why would you not? Then you are, add another 25% onto your output. So and again, it's a game. There's no certainty.
Yeah, of course not.
I like
it. It's flavour.
It is. It's 3 points, granted. But you know what? That's tax. I don't mind paying tax.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Right, moving on to the next one, we've got Cunning Tactician. Commander only, I don't know why I'm saying this. He's obviously, you're taking King John, you must take him as the retinue leader.
You're reading off the book.
Yeah, so once per round, the commander may make a free command action. This is in addition to the commander's normal actions. So he has 3 actions inherent anyway, so he gets a free command action on top of his normal 3.
Yeah.
Ultimately making him a 4-action character. I know you can only make a command action with that 4th action, but I'll take it.
Still,
it's a free command action. It may be used to give an action even if the command. We're not bothered because he is the retinue leader.
Yes.
So
still, that is extremely powerful
and really cool when you combine it with something else, which we'll get onto in a minute or in a minute.
That. Again, but this changes the perspective on how you view the lists that he can be taken in.
Indeed. Look, it's a free command action.
I do.
There's nothing not to like about it.
I look at the stat line and think, and my mind goes back to Disney Robin Hood and think, actually, he was a bit of a weasel. But with this, it's like, well, hang on a minute. I mean, that's really powerful. Especially combined with the things we've gone to in a moment. Again, I like it. It's great. It's just very powerful.
It's great.
It's really good.
Yeah. I was King John at the end of the day,
Well, basically having 4 actions where, yes, you can give 2 to yourself and then 2 other commands out. That can be pretty swingy depending on how you use it.
Yeah.
And what you use it on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Early game. Lots of,
early game,
lots
late
of command
game,
and control.
Yeah, lots of it.
Right, I'll move on to Fear of Treachery. Bit of a negative on this one.
Hence it costs nothing. Yep.
If King John's command group has more morale penalties than warriors, King John may not declare charges. He must activate in the compulsory action phase and use a move action to move as far away as possible from any enemy groups. So a clever opponent can use that to control King John, which is, I mean, I love the feel and the flavour of it. You know, he's a paranoid, you know, madman, and you can then use your units to, like, you know, layer on that paranoia and move him away all the time, and it's quite a cool ability on there, but it is a negative. You've got to manage your morale,
which is fine. Again, it's tax. You know, the ability above it is you know, can be quite game changing, considering that's every turn.
Yeah,
it's great.
You're right as well, because if you're going to stick him in a unit of knights. Well, knights or
it's knights. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
choices, right?
Yeah, sorry.
So let's say I go foot, right? Because I'm not. But then I want the mobility. If you go mobility and you've got 4 knights with him, for example, you know, so you've got 5. You need a morale penalty of 5 or more. But then, you know, you're not going to have all 5 if your morale penalty is up to 4 or 5.
He's only got a morale of 4, though.
Yeah, no, yeah. So a morale penalty of 4
Excuse me.
is. It's probably not as punishing as it sounds.
It's not.
Because if you get to that stage, the game's going pretty badly anyway, right?
Yeah, but remember, you know, there are things that affect morale, like if you're weary or whatnot.
Yeah,
and, you know, you got some, you know, the same morale as a regular trooper.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, oh, yeah, but in this scenario, it's a scenario, and you've got to fabricate that scenario. Again, to me, it's like, just stick him in a big unit of knights if it costs.
Yeah.
But he's the king, it's going to cost.
Yeah, yeah.
In other game systems, in other, you know, universes, would you bring a key model and just, you know, in a 500-point game? No, it's a King John. So to me, would I take him in 500 points? Probably not.
Would you take him in 1,000 points?
Yes. There we go. Yes, and there we go. Would King John leave his bell tower just to come down and hunt squirrels? No, he probably would. No, he wouldn't. You know, he's the king. Would I see the king on a light skirmish?
Well, and speaking of, the last ability
to the king.
To the king.
Yeah.
And I guess this kind of leans into, you know, my train of thought around the fear of treachery is you're probably going to be less likely to throw your unit forward, but you want to bubble wrap him with as much stuff to keep him safe. But then if you spend all that points on knights, you really want to get them into the fray, because they're going to be a hard hit.
They're knights. They're one of the best combat units in the game.
So you give them, they have to the king, the command group gains +1 to its defense rolls as long as the commander is still alive.
Which would mitigate fear of treachery for me, because, okay, so you've
all got mail, you know, like...
Excuse me.
They've got mail, they've got shields, they've got +1 to their defence.
You're saving on 4s all day long.
Yeah, you're sticking around.
You are sticking around.
And you absolutely, when you get into combat, he's not at the front rank, you know. No. He's tight around the back somewhere, keeping out of the way.
Well, he's not the best fighter.
He's not. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
No, do you know what? It feels like King John to me.
Yes.
It does feel like King John, where, you know, we were having a look through earlier. William Marshall feels like William Marshall.
He does,
You want him at the front. King John, I can protect him in the back with hiss somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
With hiss.
Yeah.
So
I love hiss.
I think, so put him into a Feudal European list, as we discussed, the Feudal European list for me, and I think you agreed, is that's where you want to do all your knights. Yeah, that's where the faction traits lean into mounted combat. You know, you gain all your benefits for, you know, your early charging. You can have infantry screens that you can move out the way, etc. He fits in there.
Of course he does.
As do most characters fit into that Feudal European list. Where he shines, I think, is in the Pavan retinue list. Because if we get...
He does. Sorry, hold that for 2 seconds. Imagine him in a Feudal European list, and you order 2 units of knights to charge while he charges himself. You imagine this. There's 3 units, including they all move, and then he's like, right, I'm going to charge, you're going to charge, you're going to charge.
Yeah.
3 knights charging on the bounce.
Yeah, very true, very true. And especially if you had an infantry screen in front of them, that, you know, with the Feudal European list, they can move out the way. Yeah, yes, there's morale checks to make, etc., etc. But
pish posh.
Yeah,
make them.
Who cares about the peasantry, right?
Yeah, exactly. They'll just cruel king. You know, they'll just snuff it.
Yeah.
That's just dawned on me.
It's a cool, we've got to bring some of this stuff to the table.
Oh, we do.
The hard part's going to be choosing what to do. Right.
Yes, sorry.
Let's get moving on, otherwise this video is going to get too long for anyone to sit and watch.
Yeah.
The Pavan list is a little bit more of a thinker's game than I think you've pointed out with the Feudal European. It's all about charging those cavalry forward. With the Feudal European, you've got the Paragons of Chivalry, where if a Pavan Lord or Paladin it wins a melee combat, all friendly Pavan groups within command range and line of sight remove a morale penalty. A group which has no morale penalties instead gains a bonus attack or defense dice in its next melee combat in the round. Whenever a friendly Pavan Lord or Pavan Paladin becomes broken, all friendly Pavan groups within command range and line of sight take a morale penalty. Now, we checked with Andy, and Andy has said, I'm going to quote him on this because we're doing it on camera now, that you can assume that King John fills the role of a Pavan Lord within a Pavan list.
Yes.
So all of that stuff applies to King John. So again, he wins a melee. I mean, he might not, but certainly the knights around him in his group.
That was my question. For morale pennies, for morale management, that's just the groups around him, not his group.
Not his group.
Not his group, which is still fine, which is still great.
Yeah, but also if they don't have morale penalties, they get that +1 to attack. You then couple that with Cruel King.
So +1. Is that +1 to attack? Is that
a bonus attack or defense dice in its next melee combat round? So it's another bonus. Now you can stack your bonuses.
So that stacks, so it's 3 extra dice.
Potentially.
So yeah, I would take 3 man knight units.
But then.
This is the interesting one.
Yeah, park that one to one side. Once per round, a Pavan Lord who is not the retinue leader, so obviously we've got King John.
King John separate
We've got
this moment.
a Pavan Lord with him. Who's
all Paladin.
Obviously, all Paladin.
Yep.
No, it's only Pavan Lords.
Apologies.
Pavan Lord. So you've got King John, Pavan Lord is your other commander. May use a command action to enable a friendly group within 6 inches in line of sight to take an action as opposed to a reaction. Different Pavan Lords can use this trait in different rounds. So it's another command action. It's not free, but it's another command action. So you've got King John, who has 3 actions plus his free command action.
Yes, he gets 4. Yeah.
Then you can use your other Pavan Lord.
Yeah, who has 2 actions, so he can either dish out 2 command actions or take 2 actions himself, become wary, etc.
Yeah, but he can't normally dish out command actions, can he? He can only normally do reactions.
No, of course.
So he can now dish out a command action. So I think you've potentially got 5 command actions per round you can dish out, which is early game. Fantastic, because that's where you can literally throw bodies forward, or you've got your archers set up. You might you've got line of sight. You might be able to get off some cheeky, ranged attacks through those command
or
actions.
At least repeat attacks.
I just think it's redundancy, which is I like redundancy. I might not use it all the time, but I've got it there to be able to,
rely on.
Use it if I want to.
Yeah.
I think that's where bringing King John into a Pavan list just gives you that extra command and control, that maybe you're lacking.
It gives you options. It gives you... It is quite synergetic with the Pavan list, considering their unit entries. If anything, it adds... It doesn't add, the wrong word I want to use right now is complexity. It's not complexity, but it adds the ability to be able to use that complexity.
Yes.
If you wanted to.
If you want to, yeah, exactly.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy.
It adds options, which is nice. And options are good.
It adds a whole other layer of options. A whole other layer of tactics, being able to have 5 commands to dish out. Whole other layer. And depending what units you take, if anything, it adds more scope to the already... breadth of retinues out there and what you can do with them. Great, fantastic. Why not? I'm done.
There he is, King John.
King John.
Worth a consideration. Let us know what you think in the comments. We don't often do this.
As always, please let us know what you think. Any questions as well? We've had a few people ask us questions offline, online, but please, and we'll fire them towards Andy because, he wrote the thing. So, for him and Benedict, but you know what I mean. Anyway, till next time, we can do William Marshall.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. See you later.